Most of us live in a world of beautiful graphical desktops, right? We point, we click, we drag. But today, we're going to peel back those layers. We're going under the hood to explore the real engine that powers it all, the command line. Using the Linux command line and Shell Scripting Bible as our guide, we're going to demystify this powerful tool and show you all the amazing things you've been missing. So, think for a second about how you use your computer. It's all about clicking icons and moving windows, but what if I told you there's a more direct, a more powerful way to talk to your machine? A way to tell it exactly what to do without ever taking your hands off the keyboard. So you've really got two different worlds. On one side, you have the graphical user interface, the GUI. It's visual, it's what we all know, it's intuitive. But on the other side, you have the command line interface, or CLI. It's all text. Instead of clicking on pictures, you type out precise commands. It's the difference between pointing at something in a store versus describing exactly what you want with perfect clarity. Honestly, the best way to think about the command line is like you're learning a new language. And just like learning Spanish or Japanese, the very first step is to pick up some basic vocabulary. These are the fundamental words that let you get around and interact with your computer. And the place where you speak this new language, that's called the shell. You've probably heard of the most common one, bash. It's the big one. But really, the shell is just a program. It's a translator that listens to the commands you type and passes them on to the computer's brain, the operating system, to get the job done. It's your direct line to the core of the machine. So what's our first word? Let's start with a classic, ls. You type that and it just lists the files where you are. Simple. But the real power comes from adding these little options or parameters. If you type ls-f, for example, it suddenly gives you this awesome visual key. Directories get a slash, and programs you can run get a star. All of a sudden, you're not guessing anymore. You know exactly what you're looking at. Okay, what if you need a new file? In the graphical world, you might open up a text editor, click File, then New, then Save As. You know the drill. In the command line, you just type touch, and then whatever you want to name the file. Bam! An empty file is instantly created just like that. It's just so much faster. Now, this next one reveals a really cool part of the command line's philosophy. To rename a file, you might think there's a command called rename, but nope, you use mv, which stands for move. The logic here is that you're just moving the file's contents from an old name to a new one. This isn't just a weird quirk, it's smart design. It keeps things simple by having one tool do one logical job. All right, so we've got a few basic words under our belts. But you can't have a real conversation with just single words, right? The real magic, the real power of the command line happens when you start stringing these commands together to build complex, powerful sentences. And the key to building these command sentences is a fantastic concept called piping. See that vertical bar symbol? That's the pipe. And I want you to think of it like a conveyor belt in a factory. It takes the finished product from one machine, the output of one command, and feeds it directly into the next machine, the input for the next command. This is how you build amazing workflows from tiny, simple tools. Let's see this assembly line in action. First, you run a command like rpm-qa. This lists every single piece of software in your system, and you get this huge, chaotic wall of text. But wait! We pipe that messy list over to the sort command. Now, everything is arranged perfectly in alphabetical order. Much better, but it's still too long. So we pipe that neat, sorted list to one more command, more, which lets us see it one page at a time. See? 3 simple tools, one powerful, easy-to-read result. So, once you start creating these awesome command sequences, you're not going to want to type them out every single time, right? Of course not. And that's exactly what a shell script is. It's just a simple text file where you've written down your series of commands. Think of it like a recipe. You write the recipe once, and then you can tell the computer to follow it anytime you want, completely automatically. Now, you might be thinking, oh, scripting, that sounds complicated, like programming. Not at all. It's so much easier than you think. For example, if you just type date, then a semicolon, then who, all on one line, you've told the shell to run the date command and then run the who command. And like the Linux Bible says, congratulations, you just wrote a shell script. It really is that simple to get started. Okay, now that we can combine our commands and save them as recipes, let's level up. Let's look at some of the more advanced tools. These things are like superpowers for finding, filtering, and changing information right inside your files without ever needing to open a graphical editor.
And the secret sauce to all this power is something called a regular expression, or just regex for short. Now, don't let the name scare you. It's basically find and replace on steroids. You create a special pattern that describes what you're looking for, not just a word, but maybe any word that starts with A and ends with Z, or any phone number. It lets you find things with incredible surgical precision.
Okay, let's look at a real-world example. Here's a simple little file. Now, imagine this file doesn't have 2 lines, imagine it has 2,000 lines. And we need to replace every single time it says the word old with the word new. Doing that by hand would take forever, and you'd probably miss a few. But with a command line tool called sed, it's easy. And boom, just like that, with one single simple command, sed s/old/new, we told the computer, substitute every old you find with new, and it just does it, instantly, across the entire file. This is the kind of mind-blowing power that makes the command line absolutely essential for working with data. So, we've learned some basic words, we've figured out how to build sentences with pipes, and we've even done some complex data surgery with tools like sed. But why does any of this matter today in our world of slick apps and pretty windows? Let's bring it all together.
Well, it all leads to one incredibly important place: automation. The command line is the engine of automation. Need to rename 10,000 photos all at once? A single line can do it. Need to run a backup of your important files every single night at 2 a.m.? A tool called cron will do that for you automatically. And here's the big one. The servers that power the internet, they don't have fancy desktops. They are all managed from right here using the command line. It's the language of the internet's backbone.
So we've peeked behind the graphical curtain. We've seen the raw power that's been there all along, just waiting. A few simple commands that let you talk directly to your computer, chain tools together, and automate all the boring, tedious parts of your digital life. So the real question isn't if you can automate things, it's what's the first repetitive task you teach your computer to do for you?